Good evening, everybody. It's Nick Thompson here, the Gut Doctor, just back from the land of the free, the home of the brave. We've just been out to the USA, and I'm just going to tell you about that, I think. Just initially, before we start getting into canine dental health, just to allow people to arrive on the site. I'm a bit jet lagged. I don't really know what time the day it is. It's dark outside, but that doesn't really mean anything to my brain. So bear with me. But we've got lots of little bits and pieces to talk about this evening. So it's going to be good. So what we did is we the Raw Pet Medics, check us out. We're on the Facebook. We have our own Facebook page, and you can find us on Raw Pet Medics. And we went out to San Diego to the Feed Real Summit, and I gave the opening presentation there. It was terrifying but wonderful, and it was very, very well received. And then Connor bookended it with the closing presentation, and he did a great job talking about the sympathy and the communication between people and humans, and how there is some really good science to say that, you know, some dogs really do know when their owners are getting home, for example. Nothing to do with nutrition, but he got away with it because he's very charming, etc. Bren was there, and we were heading on our way to Orlando. So we went to New Orleans, to the crazy, wonderful town of New Orleans, for a bit of R&R for a couple of days, and then the plan was to go to Will Harris, the regenerative farmer, to spend a day at his place, and then to drive from New Orleans to he's in Bluffton in Georgia. If you're watching, Will, wonderful, wonderful morning. Thank you very much indeed. I doubt he is, but so we went. So we were planning to go to Bluffton and then drive down from Bluffton in South Georgia down to Orlando, but Hurricane Helena and Hurricane Milton had other plans, and in fact the Orlando Dr. Judy Morgan's event in Orlando was cancelled because of the hurricanes. How dramatic is that? So we, with days notice, we had to work out, and so we went from South Georgia, we went up to North Georgia to see a nutrition colleague, and we stayed over with hers. The three Raw Pet Medics stayed over with her overnight, and she fed us some real food. Finding real food in the United States is really, really, really difficult. You've got to really very much go out of your way. We would have to, you know, go way off the highway when we were traveling in order to find a Whole Foods, to find something that even vaguely resembled real food. Whereas every 5 miles there are ultra processed food joints. So it's a very interesting and to me fairly scary food environment, which is remarkable to see. Actually, if you're from the States, you probably know it, and if you're watching this show, you're probably saying, yeah, welcome to my world. We have to live in this environment. And speaking to people there, they were having the same problem, you know, finding good food. So from North Georgia with Nikki Kamak, we went over to Williamsburg in Virginia. Virginia is really beautiful, by the way, really beautiful, especially at this time of year. The trees are turning and it's really fantastic. And there we did a presentation with the wonderful Billy Herkman. He's from Green Juju in the US, and we did a presentation at Nautical Dog, which is a pet shoe, really quite big. But it's not big, it's not small, but it's not kind of warehouse size, but just a really very, very well run pet shop there. And so we did a presentation, had a lot of fun with all the good folk of Williamsburg there. And then we overnighted in Williamsburg, and then up to Philadelphia to the airport, and we dropped off the car, and then Brendan's wife picked us up and took us to my brother-in-law where Ellie, my wife, was staying, and so we had overnight there before we got on the plane to come home. So what was looking like fairly exciting, fairly simple skip across southern America suddenly turned into a a Californian, Louisiana, Georgia, Virginia, Philadelphia, New Jersey odyssey. Okay, so that's what we were up to. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I get home today and I find that my trusty lamp, which has been serving me very, very well for 5 years, is no longer working. Therefore, we've got some slightly strange lighting. I've had to dig up this light here, and I've got a funny blue in this thing. See, there's a bluey thing there, and I can't see where it's coming from. There is nothing blue on the desk in front of me. So if you can bear with it, that would be great. So looks like everybody's coming along just now. So I'm going to get into Canine Dental, and Laura and Rosie are looking after me this evening, which is fabulous. So let's do the thing. I'm going to go like this, and I'm in the corner over here, and then I'm going to go over there, and hopefully Laura and or Rosie will be able to say, yes, you can hear me. But I'm just going to press on because I think we've sussed the technology these days. Laura says yes. So that's fantastic. Thank you, Laura. So we're going to be talking about canine dental health. Okay. It's on one side, it's a very simple subject, but on the other side, we've kind of been drifting in a certain direction for a very long time. And I just wanted to reflect with you on that for a while. We've had several questions, but I think that which have been sent in on Facebook to Vermex, and thank you very much, Vermex. They allow me the time to put aside to put up some to create some slides to put across the concepts that I'm trying to teach and to share with you just here. So thank you, Vermex, for that. So canine dental health is an interesting subject. Yeah, everybody's going to get some issues with their teeth sooner or later, and so the question is, how can we mitigate against that more or less inevitable change that we see in ourselves and in our dogs? And these are some of the questions that we're going to be looking at. So the first thing is, aside from cracked teeth or very loose teeth because you've been chewing a stick for too vigorously or something like that, okay, that's kind of acute emergency dental, and things have to, you have to have a tooth removed or what have you. What we're going to be talking about mainly is about periodontal disease. And periodontal disease is a posh name. Perio means the outside of, dental means the tooth. So this is, you see, let me see if I can find a pointer. Okay, and I'll just take you through this. Oh my goodness, we've got lots. Let's go with a laser pointer. Here, oh, look, we've got a laser pointer. Okay, so this is the key picture here, okay, up at the top in the middle, okay. You see, and the reason it's key is that the tooth looks pretty good, but that's not the point, because this is actually stage 1 gingivitis. And the key is, you can see, if I get the laser pointer out of the way, you can actually see that there is a degree of inflammation there along the gum line, and that's where you need to be looking. It's the gum line is the key to the whole periodontal disease. Don't be worried about a minute stain on the tooth. It's how healthy is that periodontal gingival margin. That's the key. Okay, and so in dogs, it can look like that. And if you get a lot of tartar, the tartar per se doesn't really do too much, but what it does is it holds bacteria along the line of the gingiva. The gingiva is where your gum meets the tooth, and so it's a kind of slight breach in the integrity of your skin, that which keeps the outside out and the inside in. There's a bit of a breach there. And if that tartar grows and holds open and it provides a breeding ground for bacteria, they can have a party in that lovely, nice, warm, wet fold, which is the gingival margin. And if we come down a wee bit, and if it gets worse, you know, this is just getting worse. There's even bone resorption there. Can you believe it? The bone is actually resorbed because the inflammation is so bad in the gum. Yeah. And then it gets worse, and it gets worse until you can actually see, you know, the entire tooth poking out. And that tooth pretty much doesn't have long for this world. It probably needs to be removed in order to prevent further disease, further ingress of bacteria. The reason that I wanted to talk about periodontal disease is that really is the key to chronic dental problems. And it's not just a dental issue. In humans, periodontal disease is associated with low birth weight babies, heart disease, kidney disease, obesity, Alzheimer's, basically all the bad things. Periodontal disease can play a part if you are going around and you've got a lot of periodontal disease. When I say you, I mean your dog, because dogs and humans in this regard are very, very, very similar. So there you go. It's all about periodontal disease. And horrifyingly, and this came out, this is Renee Carlson, who in 2012, she was the president of the American Veterinary Medicine Association. She admitted even then, and this is when raw food was pretty much in its infancy in the States and in the UK, she said that 70 to 80% of pets have periodontal disease by the age of 3. By the age of 3, that 7 or 8 out of 10 cats and dogs had periodontal disease. Okay, and you know that is a horrific statistic in itself. But if you say, well, what were they eating? Yeah, if this was children, you'd say, oh my God, what are they eating? What are their parents feeding them? You know, and so at that stage, it, you know, a vast majority were eating ultra processed food. Even now, probably only about 10-15% of dogs in Europe and the US are eating some or all fresh or raw food. So I think we still have a major problem with periodontal disease hitting early, and that's the problem. Okay, and we also know now, because there's a lot more work being done on the biome, is that a high carb diet is completely unnatural for a carnivore like the dog or the cat, and therefore can alter the biome. Just as it alters your gut biome, it can alter your mouth biome, just like eating sugar. Sugar for humans was very rare throughout history. Yeah, humans, Homo sapiens, been around for about 3 million years. The only time they went anywhere near any high sugar food was if they found a bee's nest, for example. That's about it in terms of, you know, pure sugar. Whereas nowadays, having pure sugar is pretty common for most people. Ultra processed foods, these are the foods which derived. These are food-like substances derived from food. This is the NOVA level 4 classification of ultra-processed food. They go in, they can alter your gut, your intestinal biome, and they can also alter your mouth biome. When your mouth biome changes, your relationship with tartar, with saliva changes, and you could be more predisposed to tartar, to plaque, to oral diseases. Okay, so it's not good. There's nothing really good to say about ultra processed food, ultra processed treats. So as we bang on about on this show interminably, please consider fresh at the very least, and raw if you possibly can, food for your dog and cat. It's really, really important. Okay, just a few words on teeth brushing. I'm not a fan of toothbrushing. I've got Bluebell downstairs, she's 5. I've got Mouse downstairs, she's 3. I've got Jet, lunatic, who is 1, and they have really great teeth, and they have never had a tooth brushing at all. I think that if the diet is right, and if the environment is right, and your dog is healthy, and there is bones as part of the diet, we'll talk about bones in a minute, then I don't think toothbrushing for 99% of dogs is necessary. And one of the reasons that, even if you're feeding kibble and you feel you have to brush, I'm not sure whether it's a very effective thing to do, because let's face it, okay? So your teeth have 3 sides. You've got the outside of your teeth, you've got the inside of your teeth, and you've got the surface of your teeth, okay? And I defy anybody to, on a daily, let alone twice daily basis, to do the outside of all the upper teeth and all the lower teeth, and the inside of all the upper teeth, all the lower teeth, and the surface of all the upper and lower teeth 2 to 3 times daily, which is really what's necessary, because that's what we do as humans. Okay, so I just think it's a fool's errand in most cases, because you can only realistically reach possibly 60% of the mouth, because getting a toothbrush, lucky I'm holding a pencil, I didn't mean to be holding a pencil, but getting a toothbrush to the outside of the teeth is a battle in many dogs. Getting a toothbrush on the inside of the teeth, yeah, this bit here, that's even more so. And I defy anybody, but in the most compliant dogs, to be able to do that on a regular basis to make a significant difference. So I'm not a fan of toothbrushing. I'm a fan of great diets. I'm a fan of bones, and I'm a fan of great health and great oral biome. Okay, I think that is the future. Just a little word about fluoride toothpaste, because I can't help but talk to you about fluoride toothpaste. I do not use fluoride toothpaste because fluoride is toxic to human beings. It, like mercury, has no place in the human or the canine or the feline body. There is no biological metabolic process which uses fluoride or mercury. Comes to that, okay, similar. Everybody knows about mercury, but fluoride maybe not so much. And so I would say absolutely do not use fluoride toothpaste in your dog. And if you choose to use fluoride toothpaste for you, for your family, for your kids, just be aware. So these are the acute and chronic effect. Acute means if you add 3 drops of pure fluoride to a glass of water and put it down your throat, those are the effects. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the chronic effects. I'm talking about brushing your teeth with fluoride toothpaste twice a day at the very least for 70, 80 years. These are the things we look at, and remarkably at the top of the list is dental fluorosis, which is where you get degradation of the enamel through chronic exposure to fluoride. Okay, but you also get skeletal fluorosis, which would manifest as arthritic changes. You've got hypersensitivity reactions, which is very common with people. Skin hypersensitivity, for example. You've got gastric and stomach issues. You've got renal issues, you've got nervous disease, you've got muscular disease, birth defects, and cancer. Cancer in humans is what, 1 in 2. And if you're putting something in your mouth every day for 70, 80 years, then I think we need to think about that. We really do need to think about that. And you're going to say, well, I spit all of it out. Well, you actually don't spit all of it out. You spit most of it out, and then a small proportion of that is in your mouth and therefore goes into your system. Okay, it's only a small amount, but if you multiply that over all those days, weeks, years, then that's the chronic. You are then having chronic exposure to this industrial toxin called fluoride. Just a thought. This is what I use. I'm not being holier than thou, God forbid, but I cannot bear the idea of using an industrial toxin in my mouth. I say this to my kids, and I managed to keep them off fluoride toothpaste for about 6 years or so, but now they use whatever they find. And I say it to Ellie, my wife, and she doesn't listen to a word I say, and she uses Colgate fluoride toothpaste. It's like, well, fine, you're a big girl, you can do what you fancy. So there you go. That's what I use. Unfortunately, I don't have any ties with them. Regular dentals in the States, they are moving towards a place where some dogs are having routine elective dentals every 6 months just to keep the teeth clean, and I think that's just absolutely terrible. Having a dental when it's required is a great thing. Clean up the mouth, remove teeth that need to be removed. It helps with pain and the masticatory function of the dog. Fabulous, no problem with that. But as a routine, I really do have a problem with routine dentals. One approach is to just do the dentals and continue with the over medication of the dogs and the feeding of ultra processed food and rubbish treats, and using regular dentals. The other approach is get rid of the rubbish treats, get rid of the ultra processed food, get rid of the over medication with wormers and flea and tick products, and all these things, and clean up the general environment of the dog such that their entire body can be more healthy, mouth included. Okay, it's that holistic picture of saying, let's clean up every aspect of life. It's quite easy to do with dogs. It's more difficult to do with us because we have these habits and what have you. But we can really make an impact with our dogs. So I'm not against dentals per se, but routine dentals when there are other things that you can do to clean up the mouth and give you good oral health. I think that really for me is the way forward, and part of that is bones. Okay, you knew I was going to say that. So this is answering one of the questions that we were asked. How do we maintain? The answer for me is you feed fresh at the very least. Raw would be the ideal, and that you use bones. I've done a video on this. You're welcome to have a look at it. It's on my website. The website is holisticvet.co.uk, holisticvet.co.uk, and you can have a look at there. And basically the concept is, I'm giving away the video, but the concept is that all dogs, whether they're puppies or whether they're a 5 or a 10-year-old dog, need to be introduced gradually to bones. What you do is I spread it into a bit like a school system. So at school, you start with kindergarten. Kindergarten is really, really simple stuff. Okay, so the simple stuff for in the bone world for dogs is chicken carcasses. Okay, remember this is for adult dogs when they're just starting on bones, or whether they're chickens, whether they are puppies just starting on bones. Chicken carcasses or turkey carcasses are ideal because they're really big and they're really soft. Okay, and there's not a lot of bony hard material, and they just get used to that masticatory effort. Okay, does them a lot of good. Great cartilage for bone for skeletal development in pups. You can't lose. It's absolutely brilliant. So so that's kindergarten. One up from kindergarten is primary school. Primary school would be duck necks, chicken wings, turkey necks, little kind of those kind of smaller, flexible elements that you can get. You can even buy them from the supermarket. Remember, everything that you buy from the supermarket has to go into the freezer for at least a week before it goes into the dog. Brilliant. Okay, so that's primary school. Secondary school is the ribs, like this lab in front of us. Ribs, brilliant. Okay, or brisket, or something like that. Okay, and those will do dogs for life. Okay, so you can get to the secondary school of the bone world and you can just feed kindergarten, primary, and secondary bones, and you can just alternate between those for the rest of their lives. If you want to go for the college, the university level of bones, that for me is the limb bones, and they would be the kind of the marrow bones or the knuckle bones of this world, especially the marrow bones. I would only give a marrow bone to a veteran bone chewer who'd done kindergarten, who'd done primary, who'd done secondary over at least a 2-year period. That's the only place I would go in with a marrow bone, because these are very good at splitting the the premolar in dogs. Okay, and causing damage because the dogs don't really know how to address it. Yeah, because if you start at kindergarten and then you're suddenly thrust into university, you are completely at sea, obviously. Okay, so don't do it. It's a gradual process, and that's how you use bones, because bones are an enormous part. And there are several studies. For example, there's Marx, M-A-R-X, an Australian researcher, 2016, did a paper, and within 2 weeks they were demonstrating that there was improved tartar scores, much less tartar in beagles, even after 2 weeks. Okay, Marx 2016, you'll be able to find that online. Finally, let's just have a look at a few supplements just to kind of round things out. This is a nice product made of 3 different brown seaweeds of some sort. Very, very safe, very natural product. And basically what it does is it softens the tartar, which allows either you with your nail or bones to then get that tartar off, to then get the tartar away from the periodontal area, the gingival area, to reduce the amount of bacteria in that very delicate zone, which is the gingival margin. Okay, so Canident, lovely little product. You can find it online, and there's a money back guarantee. Okay, you've got to use it for 15 weeks, but at least to see results, as it says on the tin. But there is a money back guarantee, which you can't say fairer than that. The other things to look at, and I'm just going to give you generic names of these things, because there are lots of companies do these things. So this is coenzyme Q10, great for your heart, but also great for your gingival health. You will find it if you're feeding heart to your dog. Your dog's probably getting loads of coenzyme Q10. If they're eating organ meat, they're probably getting more than enough coenzyme Q10. But if you want to add extra in order to improve gingival health, then 2 milligrams per kilo. Okay, so if you've got a 10-kilo dog, you would be adding 20 milligrams. Okay, it's just vet speak. Okay, so it's 2 milligrams for every kilo body weight of the dog per day. Okay, so a 10-kilo dog would get 20 milligrams a day. Okay, it's quite simple once you get your head around it. And if you get it wrong and you double dose for a few days, it doesn't matter, because it's really, really safe. It's a really safe product, so don't panic there. Then our old friend vitamin C, which you can give at much higher levels, and there I'd be thinking of 10 or 20 milligrams per kilogram per day. But again, any excess, because it's a water soluble vitamin, you'll just pee out any excess that your body doesn't see fit to use. And the reason the vitamin C is very important is that your periodontal ligaments, your teeth, are actually suspended by thousands of these tiny little ligaments. Yeah, they are not set in the bone, because they have to have a tiny bit of give, and ligaments require vitamin C to maintain their integrity. Okay, which is why your teeth fall out when you get scurvy. Okay, you heard it here first. Yeah, you get bruising, you get achy joints, because vitamin C is all about the integrity of the connective tissue within the body. Okay, so there you go. So that's what scurvy is all about, and it's a nasty disease which we really don't see these days. So there you go. Last thing to talk about is probiotics. Now, this might be quite new to many of us. This is called Lucar Plus, Lucaa Plus, as you see on the pot there. And this is a spray that you spray onto the teeth, and it is a probiotic which is formulated to gobble up the good guys within the probiotic spray, gobble up the bad guys, which create tartar and periodontal disease. Okay, that's basically how it works. Now, this came out. This is familiar to me about 3 years ago, and Bluebell here on the right, eating a bone, I'm pleased to say, she had a little whisper of tartar on her canine, and I thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to do about that? Okay, I tried to scrape it off my gum with my nail, and I couldn't. I thought, oh well, okay. And so I had some of this from Joe. Joe Flanagan runs a really fabulous store called Ingenious Probiotics, and he imports this product. We have it on our shop, which is holisticvet.shop. You're welcome to have a look at that, holisticvet.shop. And this is the spray. And so Bluebell had this shadow of tartar on her canine when she was about 2 years old or so. And so I thought, I'll try the dental care, not thinking that it was going to do anything. So I just gave it, over a week, I gave it 2 or 3 sprays, just when I thought about it, really. And after a couple of weeks, that little shadow had disappeared, and I couldn't believe my eyes. Okay, so this is potentially a product that one can use very early in the development of any disease. Yeah, if you've got if the dog has got an absolutely terrible mouth, then I think you're probably beyond probiotics. But if you want to have just an ongoing regime to try and keep the mouth as functional and as tartar and periodontal disease free as possible, then I think that this is pretty useful, and we're using it at this practice, Holistic Vet UK. So just a few little tips just to round up. As usual, we are running over. I apologize. So a few thoughts. Look at your dog's teeth every month. Okay, especially the upper molars. Now, the upper molars, you get to those by having the dog in front of you and then just taking the difficult to say this with, by grabbing the corner of your mouth, and you just gently but firmly take it back, so that you look at those teeth, because otherwise they are invisible to you. Yeah, you can see the incisors, you can see the canines, you can even see the premolars. Okay, but you've got to go back to look at those. Okay, it's easy to look at the uppers, but the uppers will generally reflect what's happening with the lowers. Okay, so at the very least, have a look at the upper molars back here. Okay, if you're looking at the teeth on a regular basis, get used to going around looking at the teeth, but not just at the teeth, but at the gum health. Okay, and if you're seeing a line or just areas of redness, that means that you need to do something or have a chat with the vet about doing something. Okay, many dogs don't like doing this, especially if at the age of 5 with a stroppy spaniel you start doing this, they're not going to have it. Okay, so the trick is to do this with the pup from the very day that they come in. It's like, right then, Freddie, we're going to have a look at your mouth. Right then, Mabel, we're going to have a look at your mouth, etc. And do that when they're young, and then they're totally used to it. Okay, if you've got super laid back lurchers and greyhounds and Italian greyhound whippet crosses downstairs, they'll kind of let you do anything, but that's not every dog. Also, get used to noting your dog's breath, because that will give you a clue to what's happening before even the dog has noticed anything. If you've got a rotten tooth, or if they've got anal gland disease, that's not a very nice concept, but it's a good tell that if their anal glands are sore, they will lick a lot, and therefore their breath will change. Or if they've even got, some kind of metabolic disease, that will, if the blood is not right, then this will be reflected in the exhaled breath, and you may be able to smell it. So get used to knowing what the dog's breath should be like. It should be fairly neutral, slightly meaty perhaps, but fairly neutral, and not that such that they would knock you over. Okay. Occasionally, I'm sure you do this more than occasionally, but at the very least, once a week, just watch how they're eating. Get used to seeing how they eat. My guys, when they're given a chicken wing, they will take it, say, onto the right, and they'll go crunch, and then they'll flick it onto the left, and they'll go crunch, and then they'll flick it back onto the right, etc. Okay, that means they're using the molars and premolars at the back of the mouth, effectively both sides. If suddenly Jet only went and chewed on the right side, I'd say, aye, have you got a problem with your left mouth? Okay, we'd have to have a look at that. Yeah. So get used to watching. If they go to the bowl and they're starving and salivating and looking at the bowl, but they don't dare eat, that could be because they've got mouth pain. Okay, so it's worth just getting to know. I'm stating the obvious, but it's just getting to know, being really, really familiar with how the dog normally eats. So there you go, guys. I think I have covered all the questions. Let me come back to you there. Good evening, everybody. Let me get rid of that. Like that. There we go. So the questions. Is brushing essential? Will bones do the same job? So is brushing essential? No. Will bones do the same job? Yes, they will. But you have to do the kindergarten, primary, secondary, tertiary school thing. How do I remove stubborn plaque on the inside when my dog won't let me brush there? Okay, we've been through that. I would use Canident. I would use the Lucar spray. I would use bones. Okay. The other question there is, how should I keep my girls' teeth looking perfect as they age? Great. Watch this presentation. Best thing to add to food to help reduce the plaque. There you go. We've been through that with the supplements and the CoQ10 and the vitamin C. Okay, so great. We've done all that. Laura's happy because I've answered all the questions from Facebook. Let's just have a look. Martina, who we were lucky enough to meet in Williamsburg in Virginia. Okay, she lives an hour away. I can't remember where she lived, but she drove, which in the States is not a big deal. But she drove an hour to come and see us at 2 days' notice, because we didn't know we were going to be in Williamsburg. And Martina, God bless her, she was fabulous. And we saw her there, and it was really, really good. And she's a big fan of Raw Pet Medics for some reason. You know, you can't, there's no accounting for taste with some people. And she was there. God bless her. We had a big hug, and that was really lovely. And Diana Costria said, are the lads back from US already? Yeah, Connor came back at the same time as me and Bren. Bren is actually going to Billy Herkman's over in Pennsylvania. So I'm not sure when he gets back. He's going to be back. Let's see, it's Thursday the 17th right now. Oh, by the way, the next show is going to be 21st of November, and it'll be 21st of November, and we're trying to get heard a group of people so that we can do a show with a panel. Okay, they're usually really fun, so we're going to try and do that. So what time? The best toothbrush is the toothbrush you don't have to use, Diana. I I hate to say it, and you're not going to like me for saying that, but that's the bottom line. If you get a finger brush just to do the odd little bit, as Martina suggests, great, go for it. It's hard to brush a French bulldog's teeth. I rest my case, Your Honor. Okay, I'm saying brushing teeth. I'm not sure it'll make you feel better, but I'm not sure it's actually going to change the course of events with the dog. So last few. So Michelle says toy poodles, raw fed, brush teeth most days, Lucar dental spray, Canadent. Oh, blimey, you've done your homework. 22 teeth removed before 7 years of age due to periodontal disease. Is this just genetics? Yeah. Toy dogs have small mouths, and a dentist once explained it to me, but the mouth of the dog is meant to be about the size of a wolf, yeah, or a hyena or something like that. And the more you compress it, the more you change the actual function of the mouth, the saliva production and the passage of air and what have you, and that all contributes to predisposition to periodontal disease in toys, especially. It is a size thing. So Michelle, unfortunately, you are a victim of the structure of the toy dog skull. I'm afraid it's a fairly well recognized thing. I'm sure if you Google it, you'll find it. Ardnas Pourquoi from New Zealand. Greetings. I was at Auckland Grammar School in the mid 80s and had a fine time there. And she says, a friend yesterday told me their vet said not to give bones to their golden retriever. Nick, why are most vets so ignorant? Vets aren't ignorant. It's just they haven't had exposure to the thought process, because they have been educated by the veterinary industry, which is massively influenced by the big food industry. Okay, and the big food industry don't like bones, and I don't like, if you've got a dog who's eating kibble, I don't like feeding bones. Okay, because it's such a different thing. Yeah, I could talk to you about that for a while, but if you're feeding kibble, be very careful with bones. I wouldn't do it. If you're feeding raw, definitely get into bones. So the vets, they're not taught in this line of thought. If bones caused damage or killed dogs, then dogs would not have made it through 45 million years of evolution. Yeah? Let's look at this through an evolutionary lens, which is one of the topics that I brought up in San Diego last week. Dogs have been eating bones. You know, even a child could tell you that for millions of years. If they were inherently dangerous, dogs wouldn't be with us today, obviously. Okay, so vets are kind of taught, don't feed bones, they will cause damage. And the other thing here is they conflate raw bones and cooked bones together. Now, cooked bones are really damaging. Okay, cooked bones sooner or later will perforate your hard palate or perforate your esophagus or will perforate your gut, guaranteed, because when you take a biological material like bone and you cook it, it becomes like reinforced concrete. It becomes really brittle. Okay, and when those bones then break with the force of the teeth, you've got these really brittle, indigestible spikes which can very easily go through your gut. That is not the case with real bone, which is designed, surprise, surprise, it's designed to be digestible because it's a source of minerals and it's a source of collagen and it's a source of fiber for the gut, which the dogs have evolved to eat over millions of years. Okay, so For me, it's a slam dunk that bones are not inherently dangerous, any more than driving cars is inherently dangerous. Okay, if you do it wrong, you may get into trouble, but if you do it even vaguely right, you're good to go. And it's fantastically useful, essential. Okay, so I would say driving cars and feeding bones are very similar. Okay. So Diana says, why are pork bones not advised? Yeah, pork bones, go for it. Absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. So there you go. I've got to go, guys. We've had 45 minutes. I apologize for stealing 15 minutes of your life. It's been good, though. Lots to talk about. I'd love to tell you more about our adventures in the States, but there's no time. But I'm sure I'll see you. Martina, look forward to seeing you again in Williamsburg or somewhere. And I wish you all very, very well wherever you are, whether you're in the States, whether you're in New Zealand, whether you're in Blighty, whether you're in Europe. Thank you for coming along. It's been great. We will see you on the 21st, and we'll see if we can round up some people to talk about all things gut health. So, guys, see you later. All the very best. And it's great to be home, but we had a whale of a time in the USA. Thanks a lot.